Yeah. Okay, now we're live. You can go.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Thursday, December 17th, 2020 meeting of the Design and Historic Review Commission. The time I have currently is 10:08 as we get started. We have established a quorum is present. So the first item is our consent agenda, which is consideration and approval of the November 19th, 2020 DHRC meeting minutes. Everybody got those via email. I assume everybody's had a chance to look over them. Were there any changes or problems to be submitted? If not, I will go ahead.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, moving on to the regular agenda. We have DD 20-23, 29 East Concho Avenue, a request for downtown district overlay approval of 3 signs totaling approximately 73 square feet, 71.04 square foot car panel sign, and 2 existing door decals, each being 1 square foot, located at 29 East Concho Avenue. And I'll hand that over to city staff.
Good morning, Shelley Pascal, City Planner. And the property we're looking at today is requesting an approval for a downtown district of actually 3 signs. It's located at 29 East Concho Avenue. It is located within Central Business District in the downtown neighborhood, and it is in District 3, Harry Thomas's district. This is a photograph of the subject property. It is currently Jesse Rose. On this photograph, it's showing the 2 existing door signs that they're wanting to keep and permit, and they will be getting rid of this existing sign. And this is the proposed car panel that totals 71.04 square feet. This is from a salvaged 1960 Ford Ranchero. As you can see, the primary color is turquoise with features of both leopard print and roses. Just a reminder, the purpose of the downtown district overlay is to regenerate the downtown, and it has specific criteria it would like to meet is to protect and enhance the city architecture, historical, and cultural heritage, promote the economic prosperity, encourage redevelopment, and to protect and enhance the area's attractiveness to the visitors. We feel that, the proposed large sign is not consistent with the above statements. As followed, we feel that the large sign is visually overpowering and would be a distraction. It really takes away from the neighboring businesses and the character of this area. According to intent number 1, the city's architecture should be protected and enhanced with appropriate design standards, as we do feel that the sign is definitely unique. However, it is large and it does not fit in within the character of the street. However, the proposed 2 smaller window signs are in keeping with the character of the building and the area, and staff does believe the 2 smaller signs does comply with this criteria. Within the historic area of Concho Avenue, the proposed sign would not preserve the character of this area due to its extravagant design and color. Per the River Corridor Master Development Plan, it discourages inappropriate renovations that hide the original facades and introduce materials that are out of context with a particular building. Staff believes that the sign would hide the building's original features and is out of context with the building's historic features. Also, per the RCDMP, the sign should be incorporated into the architecture of each building. This proposed large sign will not tie into the architecture of the building nor into the character of the surrounding properties. This subject property is located within the historic city center and includes elegant and attractive building features. The proposed sign will definitely detract from these features. Therefore, city staff, we are recommending for the DHRC to deny these 71.04 square foot car panel and approve the 2 existing door decals that are approximately 1 square foot. Do you have any questions?
Commissioners?
And to clarify, I think there's ways to incorporate bright colors and designs into an area. Staff was just hesitant on, this is actually a panel of a car that they're putting this sign on. I know it's a funky shop and I love that character of the shop. I just don't know if this is the right way to do it in the historic downtown area, especially on Concho Street. So it's really before the board at this point. I know the applicant is here as well to speak to you and get your thoughts, but at this point, it's really up to you guys and what you think is appropriate in that area.
Well, in the opinion of city staff, if they took away one of the colors, anything they could modify in their plan to allow them to use the car if that's what they wanted to do, or is staff?
Yeah, so we have some concerns with the car itself. I think if they were to not, anyway, let me go first with the car. So the car is on an engineered structure. So the structure was signed off by an engineer. That whole front porch area was engineered. So they'd have to get an engineer to sign off on putting this car panel up there. And I think that's some cost I'm not sure if they're aware of or not. But, it's up to you guys at this point. Yes, if they reduce some of the colors of the sign, maybe, or if they took the car out of it and just put up the same colors, but in an oval, I don't know. I mean, and I don't want to design for the applicant. This is what they submitted. So it's really up to the board at this point as to, do they believe this is the appropriate sign for that building on West Concho?
Okay, then I think the obvious question for staff would be, how do you reconcile having permitted the old truck on top of the hamburger place, Twisted, and then denying this?
Well, I will say, I was not here when the truck was permitted on top of the thing, so I don't know all the details of that. But that is not I would say West Concho is the main historic feature. And I mean, that's our main historic area. So we'd like to keep that more traditional looking. I mean, I know there's a couple of things that maybe introduce one color or one pattern or something bright. I know Jay Wilde's sign was very bright. But that is a very historic area, being the first block of West Concho. So I think needs to stay a little bit more historic than the outlying. I mean, downtown, I think we've established on Chadbourne especially, there's some funkier colors, there's some bright blue and some black and different colors and different features. Our concern was just this being block 1 of West Concho and the historic value that it brings to the San Angelo area. So,
is there anything in the guidelines that sets aside that block of that street and says it's held to a different standard in writing in black and white?
Sure. I don't think that it specifically says that, and Shelley can probably look at it a little more. It does give different standards for our historically designated buildings. This building specifically is not, Shelley, correct me if I'm wrong, this building is not historically overlaid, but the majority of the buildings surrounding it are. So, it's not just, does it fit with this building, but also this board has to look at, does it fit with the area? So the Myers store, across the street, Miss Hattie's, Sassy Fox, those buildings are all historically overlaid and would have a much higher standard. The certificate of appropriateness would be required with them. So again, it's really, this was staff's recommendation. We love to see, new and cool things happening in downtown. We just weren't sure this was the correct sign in the correct location. And so that's why it's before you. I mean, it's something you look at now. Again, I'd like for you guys to hear from the applicant and hear their thoughts and stuff on it. But that was just the staff's recommendation and one piece of the information you'll get today to make your final decision.
Okay, so I have one last question.
Sure.
Is there any difference in the designation overlays between this and the hamburger place? Are they under exactly the same criteria? River corridor, historic, et cetera, et cetera?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to take up so much time. Any other commissioners have?
And it also falls under the same as with the sign on top of the big giant jalapeno. I mean, it's right down the street. I think the issue I have here, I personally don't care for the sign, but at the same time, how can we allow one business to do something basically next door and then not to them? That's where I think we have a hard time, denying this.
Mhm.
Well, I would definitely say the difference between the truck on Twisted Root and this truck is the truck on Twisted Root is a truck. It looks like a truck. It does not have leopard. It does not have pink flowers. That it's not the same. The angry cactus, I don't want to get into that. It was very controversial. I know some of the members were here when that came through. So, and again, I would specify this as different because of the area and the properties that directly surround it are historically overlaid. So, protecting, as we said, let's even through paint and different things we've done in the past, is black paint appropriate on Chadburn? Possibly. We have a couple of buildings that we've painted black. Is black paint appropriate on West Concho? Probably not. And we've discussed this many times that each area is distinct, and we need to not only look at the property as one piece, but as a context of a block. And so that's what, again, this is what staff based their decision on, and things you can take into account, as well as your background, your history, and what the applicant has brought forward. So I think if they wanted to just put the truck up there, like an old antique truck, and put Jesse Rose on it, that may have been different for sure.
Well, and but that's kind of what my discomfort is in this. It doesn't sound like the applicant's been told, here is what your design violates specifically, and what compromises you could make that we would all feel comfortable with. I understand that your perspective is this is the design they submitted.
Yes, sir.
You guys reacted to it, but I also understand that they're business owners that have invested a good deal there. A lot of square footage there, and I take issue with not being able to hand them, hey, here's what we think you could change, so we could get their opinion on whether they feel like they should have to change that.
I'd like to hear from the business owner, please.
Okay.
So we'll move on to that. I guess that's a public comment.
Okay.
I think this is how I'm supposed to address that, but yes, let's hear from the applicant.
Okay, so
There's Barbara. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, we've been on Concho for a long time, 26 years. We were looking today, and in the last 8 years, $11 million, and almost $1 million of that was paid in taxes in sales. Times are different now because of COVID, and I thought about closing both of my stores, and I'm serious. It's like our sales are half what they used to be. Sassy Fox and Jesse Rose are anchor stores on this street. We are trying to do something creative and innovative that we see other cities doing, in bigger cities, Austin and places like that. They have really cool signs and things. And we wanted something to attract attention to our business so that we could make ourselves better and stay alive. I don't know. I'm shocked that the colors and stuff, but this is just the way it is. I knew that this was going to be a battle. My canopy I put out front was supposed to cost me about $35,000, and by the time I got through with all the surveys and all the stuff that the city required, it went up to almost $60,000. It cost me $1 million to open that store. It cost me $1 million to open Sassy Fox. You don't find people that are willing to put their entire life, everything they've got, into their business to make this street the best it can be. I live on Concho. I restored that house. I'm just 3 blocks down. I have both of these buildings completely restored. The one we're in right now, Sassy Fox, was completely condemned. And it has just been, Sassy Fox had like an open-ended permit. They didn't care what we did as long as we restored that building. I don't want to fight this, and I'm not going to battle for it. So if I don't get approved for the sign, I'm going to close Jesse Rose. And I'm 72. I'm going to be 73 right after Christmas. Why do I want to fight this kind of battle when all I'm trying to do is to make business successful. And we bring a lot of people to San Angelo. I don't know if y'all know how popular Sassy Fox is or not, but we have customers from everywhere, all over the world. And it's because we're unique and we're different, and that's why people want to come to us. But I don't want to fight a battle. I'm too old for that, and I don't have to work. I'm working because I love my customers. I love this street. I've invested at least $3 million in restorations on what I've done between my businesses. I work every day, 6 days a week. And I just don't, I'm past retirement age. Everything, my buildings are all paid for. My inventory's all paid for. And I don't really have to. We were looking, the last 8 years, $11 million in sales. That's a lot for a boutique that's owned by a man and a wife. It's like we do everything we can to make it the best. We keep it clean. We keep it neat. We dust our window sills every day so that when people come to San Angelo, they see that it's clean, it's nice. I pay so much money to have my yard kept because it's on Cohenheim and Concho. And the guy that lived in my house, Cohenheim actually built that house and lived there. And so I feel privileged and honored to live in that house that he came here and developed this block 1. I don't know, everything we do here is like a battle. And you don't like my black paint, you don't like my funky angel sign, you don't like any of the stuff that brings in business to my store so that I can survive.
Man, we definitely.
What's wrong with turquoise and red and leopard? My grandmother raised those red roses in her yard. That is the original color of the car. And Jessie Rose is my grandmother. I named the store after her. I don't know, but I will close it down. I'm just, I don't have to work.
Ma'am, I, for one, do appreciate your investment and commitment to downtown. Would you mind answering some specific questions from the commissioners at this time?
No, I'll answer anything.
Okay. Who'd like to go first? Anyone? Okay, I'll ask one. So I couldn't really tell from the picture, Mrs. Strain, about how much of the side of the car is being adhered to this sign. How thick is that going to be?
Like 3 or 4 inches.
Just enough to
not like my husband and I could pick it up if just, he's on one end and we're together. We could lift it up. It's not, I didn't think it was going to be that big a deal, or I would not have bought that. It didn't, I paid a lot for that car. Mm-hmm. And then paying a lot to have it wrapped. But I have a lake house, bed and breakfast. I can take it out there and I can do something cool with it. And I could probably make as much in my bed and breakfast at Lake Nasworthy as I could on Concho, since business has got so bad. If we had this year, okay, my sales for 2020 at Jessie Rose this year is 310,000 compared to almost $1 million. I have to do something to survive, but I'm not going to fight to get the sign, and I'm not going to fight to keep that store without. This is what my plan is: get that sign, change it from being just a plus size store to something where everybody could shop, because it's Sassy Fox is good. We're down in sales. I think like March, we were closed for almost 2.5 months, and that was $275,000 down in sales. If we don't do something creative and unique and different, if we take all our signs down and we have that little plaque on the front door, I didn't even put those up. A sign company did. I didn't even know you had to have a permit for that. The city of San Angelo has been really good to us. We've, of course, we had 2 men fighting the fact that we put that canopy out there, and we had to go before the council, and that got approved. I just don't know, I don't know. Not in the mood for any kind of fight, because me and my husband come out here and we put our lives on the line every day to stay open, regular hours, with COVID going on. My husband is 76
Yeah.
and diabetic. He has issues where he can't be, he shouldn't be out here.
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't know. It's just, I started this before COVID, and I was hoping that it would help us to be better and do better and be unique and bring more people to San Angelo. We have people that drive from Amarillo, Lubbock, Wichita Falls, just to shop at Jesse Rose, Sassy Fox. I mean, it's just crazy. God has blessed us so much. We're not working because we have to now. We're working because of the love of the street. I feel like if these two stores were to close, it would not be good for downtown. And then Sue Gomez, next door to us, that has the antique mall, just passed away a week ago because she caught COVID. And then there's Eggemeyer's. And so, and God love them. They have family that is helping them stay open and stuff. But we get so many, like, we fight so many battles for everything we do. And once we're all, the four of us, Eggemeyer's and the antique mall, and that's it. You look at all these other stores, well, Casual Pint, but what is that going to bring?
Mrs. Strain, okay.
Yeah.
So for this, the next step of the process would be for us to go back now to the commissioners and see if there's any further discussion and which way the motions go. I thank you for being here. I completely understand where you're coming from. So let's go to the next step in the process and see what happens. I assume there's no other public comment or anything submitted by any neighbors, any of that sort of thing? City staff, ma'am.
Stephen, this is Kathleen Quans from All About Signs. We'll be the installers on this project.
Okay.
Just to answer your specific question about the size of the car, it's 15 and a half feet long by about 4.5 foot tall. So, I mean, it's an actual Ford Ranchero full side panel. It is possible, I know that in computer things, as you know, the colors don't always translate. It shows a lot brighter than I think she originally wanted. We'd like to kind of tone that down, give it more of a rusty car feel instead of a bright turquoise. However, there is turquoise on this street. Deja Vu, Jay Wildy's. We had it at Nosh just around the corner. So I don't think there should be any opposition to the actual color. And she just wants it to look like an old car, to be something to draw attention and provide photo ops like so many other artistic things in San Angelo.
It's
So if
just,
there's anything else I can answer, I'd be glad to.
but it is just a few inches deep. And
Yes,
that
yes, it will have a steel tubing frame behind it. It has a frame. I'm sorry.
All right.
And again, just speaking to the building official, it'll have to be engineered. So they'll have to have an
Yes.
engineer off on the sign installation to support the weight with the original structure.
Yes, and we're willing to add that as a condition, certainly. We just didn't want to go through the process if it was not even going to be approved.
Sure. Great. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Is there any other public comment at this time?
I would like to say that when we had it surveyed before, they did not attach the canopy to the building because they didn't want any kind of danger if anything had happened with that. So the engineers, when they came back, that's just on that iron structure. And we went like 3 feet deep on every pole with 3 by 3 square and 3 or 4 feet deep with concrete so that would be self-supporting and it wouldn't ever damage the building or anything like that. So it wouldn't damage the structure, and it's certainly not big enough, like one of the ladies said, that it would hide the elements of the building. Because that building's huge.
Pardon me. I'm fairly certain that, while yes, you're going to have to go through whatever engineering needs to be done, I don't think that's supposed to weigh on this board. I think that's a completely different issue. Now, do we have further public comment on it? Is that everyone? City staff? Hillary, do you have anybody else?
I'm sorry. No, sir, that's all I see as well.
Thank you again, ladies, for participating.
Thank you.
Do we have amongst the commissioners at this time?
I would like to say something. I was on the board when the car was approved for the twisted route. And one of the reasons we approved that one is because it was out of the way. It wasn't in the historic district. Is it different? Yeah, I think the building was totally different too. It's more Art Deco. It's set up by the river. It's more out of sight. I think one thing the board needs to really pay attention to on this is we don't want to set a precedence for this because this could get out of hand real quick. I think I'd have to go with staff. I don't think that type of structure is appropriate for that historical area. That's a whole different area right there. There's some beautiful buildings, beautiful architecture. I think it needs to stay the way it was intended to be. And the other thing I think the board needs to keep in mind is when we make our decisions on this, we can't make them for economic reasons or personal reasons. You know, it doesn't matter that I don't think they're going to close the door because this sign is not going to be put up. I mean, that's just my personal.
Yeah.
But we cannot take that into consideration when we're doing this. If we do, then this board should not even be here because you have to do it. You have to look at the guidelines that are set forth in our laws to figure out which direction we want to go. And if we're going to do it economically or personal, then we're going to have a lot of trouble. So that's my thinking. I think staff has got it right. I think we need to protect the integrity of that street. Eggermeyer's have spent a ton of money on that beautiful building they did. I mean, I'm a business owner too. I understand the issues that are going on, but we can't change our minds just because of the way the economics are going or how whatever. We've got to stay with the guidelines that we are put forth on protecting the integrity of other businesses in that area as well as their own business. That's just my thoughts.
Commissioner, I actually agree with you on that, but here's my issue. If one of them is approved and the other one is not, and it's not in the laws or the guidelines, then that is strictly a matter of opinion. We're having the opinion that this one's further down and out of the way, so it's okay to have a vehicle, but this one's on this block, so it's not. And that's why I was asking if
but you got to remember, even when the Angry Cactus went on, there was a lot of controversy. I was on the board on that one too. And I'm not going to get into that one either, but I think we need to set a precedence right now. Otherwise, we're going to be out of control. We're not going to have any say so of what goes on down there. You know, you just can't do that. At some point, we have to kick our heels in. And I know that was from other boards, but that's the reason we have guidelines. That's the reason we have a book to tell us what to look for and what to do. And if we don't do that, then it's just going to be out of control. You're never keep consistency in that area. You're just going to have everything.
Well, and I will say, Stephen, to your point, it does speak to looking at the block face and looking at not just the building, but the block and the area. So yes, the guidelines apply throughout, but it also speaks to creating blocks that are connected. So, if we're going to allow black on a block on Chadburn, we need to look at the whole block. And we've talked about that several times. Again, that's specifically for paint color. But we've talked about stepping back and looking at the area and the context of the area. David's right. We need to look at the types of the buildings. Is it Art Deco? Does Art Deco look to the orange color and the browns and the greens of that mid-century color? So again, I think there is some flexibility in the fact of we need to look at each building and we need to look at each area independent of the whole. And I can't even come up with a good example, but it
does say, does it have consistency with the buildings immediately around it? So that,
yes, sir.
You're right.
Yeah. So, and again, I think we could work with the applicant I think we could work with the applicant. There may be other options. This is what they had presented to us, and I'm very sorry. This holiday season has been crazy. So, if the applicant's willing to work with us and, come back to the board, we could probably come up with some options of, is it the same colors and patterns she's presented today, but is it just in a round sign or an oval sign? Is it just a regular sign, or does she want the car, but we take some of the colors out of the wrapping? So, I mean, I know Kathleen spoke to the colors are actually brighter than what they're presented, but I think we could work together. Again, we don't want to impede business. We want to help and do what we can. So if this board is looking to deny, then maybe there's an option to table and to let a staff work with the applicant to come up with some other options. Again, we weren't really sure which way to go because we don't believe this fits in the block, but we wanted to bring it to you as well and get some of your thoughts, because if everybody on this board is like, oh yeah, we love it, okay, then that helps staff. But if it's going the way it kind of is, where yeah, we like some of the features, or yeah, we think that a cool sign is okay, but maybe not this. I mean, what you're saying is kind of what we had said as staff is, okay, we kind of like some of the features, but the sign in general doesn't fit with an area. So that's one of the reasons we brought it to you as it is just to get your feedback as well. So I guess I will turn it back over to you.
What about the other commissioners? Where are you falling on this, or what do you think about it? Would you like it tabled and brought back? Are you for or against it? What would your commentary be? Lenny, James?
Well, personally, like I said, I personally don't care for the sign, but that's an opinion. I feel like I agree, David, that it's very easy to get out of control, but I think what has to be done is the city is going to have to enact its own stipulations if they want to get specific to each street. In my opinion, I would have to make a motion to approve it.
So you would have to, but you're not putting the motion forward right now, are you?
I make a motion to approve it.
I would like to get Henry's opinion on this. Henry Schmidt.
I'm sorry, Council or Commissioner Mazur. I need to ask city staff if the commissioner makes a motion, do I have to call for a second now, or can we ask him to wait until we hear from the other commissioner?
I think Brandon may be able to help us on this.
Yeah.
My understanding was you could continue discussion.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, you can absolutely continue discussion, and then once you get to a point, you can call for a second and a vote. But yeah, you can continue discussion.
So apologies, Commissioner Lenny James. Let me hold on to that for a moment and move on to James Thomas, Commissioner Thomas, and ask him what he's thinking. Are you okay with that? Commissioner Lenny James?
Yep, that's fine.
Great. All right. Commissioner Thomas, what do you have to say?
I see all sides, and I was going to make a motion to table it, and certainly I'd like to hear from Henry, my neighbor, and he's involved in a lot of stuff down there, and would like to also personally thank the Strange for all the huge investment they've done for downtown. Quite substantial, beautiful things done. Is I too have some reservations about that in that particular block, but the proposal to maybe table and look at some other revisions that might be in order. That would be my perspective at the present time. But David has asked Henry for a little input, and since he does a lot of architectural designs and historical work, to see what his opinion is and the next step.
Okay. And Commissioner Schmidt?
I agree with David and the staff. I think we need to have some kind of control on what the historic outlook is on that street, especially in that block that is there. So, I don't have any other comments. I think David and the staff have covered it pretty well.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Is there, and I realize the confirmation could be there, but whenever there's some zone changes in San Angelo, the neighbors get it with you. And realize they approve what the zone change maybe or something like that. Is there anything like that done downtown that, because it will sort of affect the neighbors to see what their input would be to regarding an issue like this?
Did you follow that, Hillary?
James, you're kind of hard to hear, so I'm trying really hard to focus.
I believe what you
Not-
Couldn't
Yes.
hear him.
I think he was asking about like in zoning where we have the 200-foot requirement to notify neighbors of surrounding property.
Okay.
Anything like this.
Is there-
Okay, yeah. So on DHRC, it does not require 200-foot notice. Brandon, do you have concern if they do table this, if they wanted to hear from the neighbors, sending out some notices?
No, I don't.
Okay, so I mean, if that's the board direction, again, I want to work with the applicant. We don't want to stifle business. We want her to continue to do well and prosper in this area. So, you know, if the board wants to table this and direct staff to send out notices to the property owners, I don't even know that we need to do 200 feet, but maybe just within the first block of West Concho, just to get their, just to get their thoughts.
If you're hanging this on that it has to match the surrounding buildings, it would just be that block of Concho that, you know, that and those people, if we got their opinion. So,
Well, and I don't think the word match is correct. But yes, I think we would need input. We want it to coordinate. But if we're looking for something to stand out, I think we can make that happen. I mean, we don't want everything to perfectly match and fit into this nice little square box. We want it to be fun and funky and but coordinate with the area and you know,
yeah,
the area.
wrong word. I don't remember what the statute says, but you're
Yeah.
right. Something about consistency with the, okay, so we have a commissioner who's made a motion. So I'm assuming the first thing we need to do is find out if there's a second, and if there is, then vote on that.
Yes,
Right.
sir. Yes, sir. So you would see if there was a second on Lenny's motion to approve as presented, or to approve as is, as it was applied for.
Okay, so we have that motion. Is there a second for that? Okay, so I don't have a second for that. James, or I don't know if it was James, I guess, were you making a motion to table it? Or
I
just
would make
making
a motion to table it for further study and regular presentation.
that is a motion? I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing.
No, it's okay. I think he said it was a motion to table. And James, were you still wanting to maybe notify or to at least let the people within block 1 know?
I wasn't gonna make that a part of it. I was asking the question and if it would even be appropriate. In some ways I see appropriate, some ways I see you could never get things done. So,
Sure. So your motion was just to table and let staff work with the applicant till the next meeting?
yeah.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to table it. All in favor of that, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Okay, all opposed, same sign?
Yay.
So
Okay,
it looks like 4-1 in favor of that motion.
yes. So since we're just at quorum, is it a majority of the quorum or is it the whole quorum has to?
No,
Okay, so it passes. Okay. Hopefully you guys can get together and come up to a resolution on this that makes everybody happy. And with that, we'll move on to the next thing on the agenda, which is the division report.
I don't think we have anything specific. Again, I think with the current coronavirus cases, these meetings will continue to be. I appreciate everyone being here. I know it takes time out of your day, but these decisions we need your input on. So thank you so much. And staff will always have one person in the office. If you can tell, Shelley is there today. So if you need anything or have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us, and we will do our best. And Merry Christmas to everyone. Or
Same to
happy
you.
holidays, whatever the holiday is.
Okay, next thing is announcements, and that consists of the next regular meeting of the Design and Historic Review Commission is scheduled to begin Thursday, January 21st, 2021 at 10 a.m. in the East Reception Room in City Hall, unless it ends up being through Zoom. With that, we will adjourn. I would thank everybody for participating, the commissioners and the applicants and city staff. Thank you very much. And like you said, happy holidays to everybody.
Yes, y'all too.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.